Hey guys, today I have a quickie for you. Two very unusual late war PPKs. Come check these out. Okay, these are the two very late production. It's late war. Actually, I believe production stopped in late 1944, and there's a lot of evidence of that. And this is part of the evidence. In 1945, they, of course, continued making PPs, and I've shown you a lot of GI put together mismatched PPs toward the end of the war. There was no legend. There was no proof marks. We know that those were made in 1945 because the GIs came in, the American Army GIs came in April of 1945, and they picked up all kinds of guns. And there were PPKs that were not put together yet. So these, I don't believe, were produced in 1945. I believe they were produced in 1944. Both of them have no proof marks, and that's unusual for the PPK. As I mentioned, there's hundreds of PPs with no proof marks, meaning they were put together in the factory at the end, but I only have a record of maybe 10 that don't have a proof mark, and these are two of them. Now, if you look at the serial number, the last serial numbers that I have recorded that I'm sure were made in the Walther factory in Zella-Mehlis, this is 431067, but you can see it's mismatched to 431089. Now, I do have record that the frame to this gun is out there. It says frame only, and it matches this slide. I haven't been able to put those together. If you happen to have that frame, go and look. The latest serial numbers that I have from Zella-Mehlis is 431115 and 116. These are right before that. Now, interestingly, 115 and 116 both have proof marks, so even though they're later than these, they were issued. And both of those guns, again, going back to 115 and 116, they're both blued guns with black grips, which you'd expect. They were issued. These are just a little bit earlier by just a few days, but I believe they were sitting in the factory in parts, and when the GIs came in, they put them together. I'd have a hard time proving that, but that's the only story that makes sense. There's a couple other evidences that these were just put together. I mentioned they're mismatched. You also see that this is like a chrome finish. This is aluminum, which these late war guns, a lot of them had an aluminum finish, and I think this is in the white. It's just been polished, so it looks like it's chrome, but chrome doesn't stick to aluminum, I don't think. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is aluminum. This is steel that's been chromed. No proof marks, but then you see blued part. You do see a black grip, which makes sense. Also, it came with this magazine. So here's what's interesting about this magazine, 7.65 PPK. But if you look at the follower, that's a 9mm follower. So I don't believe that this magazine was even put together. I think the GIs that came in, they put it together themselves. Here's what the magazine would have looked like, and this is a chrome finish. That's what the magazine for 7.65 would look like. This is a magazine follower for a 9mm. This is a correct 7.65. You also see this is nickeled and this is blued. This one goes with this gun, but right now we're talking about this gun. So I believe this was put together from parts in the factory in 1945, but was produced in 1944. I think I failed to mention that this is also blued. You can see this has the same configuration. This is blued, trigger is blued. And one other feature, take a look at the brown grip. Of course, the brown grip would have been to an earlier gun, but this was in the factory laying around and put together. And here's the anomaly with this one. Just like the other one had a 9mm follower, check out this grip. I've never seen this before. This grip has no Walther banner. Have you ever seen one like that before? I certainly haven't. So this is either a factory error. I don't know what happened here, because the mold would have the Walther banner, and so why would they make a mold with no Walther banner? And it doesn't look like it was removed. Both sides, no Walther banner. This is the coolest grip ever. You see it's also aluminum. Polished aluminum. You see that little line right there? That's where the aluminum frame meets the steel. They both have that. So these are both aluminum. This one is also mismatched, but not by a lot. 431033 and 030. So we know this is late war, mixed parts, no proofs, mismatched, and this is the chrome magazine that came with it. So there's a lot of education here in terms of what happened in the last days. You don't see very many of these, as opposed to the PP. I already said there's hundreds of them that are mismatched with no proof. I only have record of about 10 of them that are mismatched with no proofs. So again, GIs came in, they found the parts, they wanted souvenirs, they put them together. In some cases, they used wrong parts. But they made it work. I have one more gun that's came out of the factory from the GIs, and I'm going to show that in our next video. Now, given the beauty and the historical significance of these two guns, I'm sure many of you out there would like to buy one. Unfortunately, these belong to a collector friend of mine and are definitely not for sale, but just an important part of Walther history. Hey, if you like the content on this channel, make sure you like and subscribe and share it with a friend.